Dave prompts. Good morning, Talan. I went ahead and isolated the upper left-hand grid square on Norwegian Maple Number 1. I see that there's no mention of leaf beyond the infinitely interpretable organic shapes. This is suggesting an additional experiment. How much does it need to see before leaf comes into it? Here's the analysis. The image appears to be an abstract artwork featuring a combination of geometric and organic shapes. Dominating the composition is a large, roughly square area of brown, possibly representing a canvas or background. Within this brown field, patches of color are distributed in a seemingly random yet visually balanced manner. A significant blue shape occupies the left side, contrasting with the warm tones of the brown. Towards the center and upper right, areas of yellow and red add further color complexity. The shapes themselves lack sharp definition, suggesting the use of soft-edge tools or techniques such as blending or smudging. The overall effect is one of texture and depth, inviting viewers to interpret the forms and colors in their own way. The absence of recognizable objects or figures encourages a focus on the interplay of color and form, characteristic of abstract expressionism. Talan responds, Good morning, Dave. This is an excellent experiment, and the results are quite telling. You're absolutely right. The analysis of the isolated upper left-hand grid square of Norwegian Maple Number 1 makes no mention of leaf. Instead, it describes organic shapes, a large, roughly square area of brown, and patches of color, in a seemingly random yet visually balanced manner, specifically noting the absence of recognizable objects or figures. This confirms a crucial point about how AI models see, or more accurately, interpret. Context is king for recognition, without the broader context of the other leaf-like forms in Norwegian Maple Number 1 and the series title. The AI's pattern recognition system simply isn't able to definitively identify a leaf in that isolated, abstract form. It defaults to more general descriptors like organic shapes. AI sees abstractly first. In the absence of clear, well-defined, and complete visual cues for a known object, the AI interprets the image as a purely abstract composition of forms, colors, and textures, even going so far as to suggest abstract expressionism. This is a testament to its ability to analyze visual elements on a purely formal level. Human inference versus AI literalism. A human observer, having seen the full Norwegian Maple 1%, and knowing the series title, would likely infer leaf even from that abstract segment. The human brain is incredibly adept at recognizing patterns from incomplete information and applying contextual knowledge. The AI, in this instance, is being more literal to the isolated visual data provided. Your proposed additional experiment, how much does it need to see before leaf comes into it, is a perfect follow-up. This could involve gradual reveal, providing progressively larger crops of the original image, starting from this highly abstract upper left square, and seeing at what point the AI's analysis starts to include leaf or leaf-like terms. Providing hints, giving a cropped image and a prompt like, does this resemble a leaf? To see if a directed question influences its interpretation. Variations on abstraction, taking other imperfect leaf shapes from the series and testing them in isolation. This highlights the fascinating divergence between a human's contextual, associative, and inferential understanding of art and an AI's pattern matching and descriptive capabilities. It reinforces your earlier point about the amateur critique for first. What looks simple or unrecognizable in isolation is often part of a larger, more complex artistic statement that requires human interpretation and context. What are your thoughts on this outcome, Dave? And how would you like to proceed with the next step in this experiment? Dave prompts, I'm going to start by isolating a 2x2 portion of number 1 starting in that upper left and see what happens. Talan replies, That's an excellent next step, Dave. Expanding the view to a 2x2 grid section, still anchored by that initially ambiguous upper left corner, should provide more contextual clues for the AI. I'm curious to see how much additional visual information is needed for the leaf pattern to become discernible to the model. This experiment is a great way to probe the thresholds of AI image recognition in an artistic context. Whenever you have that analysis ready, please share it. I'm ready to see what the AI sees with a slightly broader perspective. Dave prompts, Just by way of clarity, I've been exclusively using the prompt, please analyze this image, so as to avoid giving it any hints. Each response appears to be independent, and I have not taken the additional step of anonymizing myself and prompting from apparently disparate users. I took 3 crops from Norwegian Maple 1. First is the 2x2 crop, all crops starting from that upper left. Still no leaf talk, but it gets painting every time. Crop 1, 2x2 square section. Analysis is as follows. The image appears to be an abstract painting or artwork characterized by a square grid layout with 4 distinct sections. Each section features a different combination of colors and textures, creating a visually dynamic composition. The background of the artwork seems to be a neutral brown or tan color, possibly the color of the canvas or paper used. Top left, this section is dominated by blue and yellow hues, with the blue appearing as a solid block on the left side and the yellow distributed in a more scattered pattern. Top right, this quadrant incorporates red, yellow, and blue with a more blended and textured application of paint. The colors seem to mix and overlap, creating a sense of depth and movement. Bottom left, red is the primary color in this section, with some hints of yellow and possibly other colors mixed in. The texture appears rougher, with visible brushstrokes or layering of paint. Bottom right, this area features blue and yellow again, but in a different arrangement than the top left. There's a swirling or flowing pattern, and the colors seem to blend more seamlessly. A thin, wavy line, possibly drawn with a lighter colored medium, meanders across all 4 sections, adding a unifying element to the composition. The overall impression is one of spontaneity and free expression, with the artist likely focusing on the interplay of color and texture. The artwork could be interpreted in various ways, depending on the viewer's perspective and personal associations. Crop 2, 1:4 horizontally. It got sponge application, which was definitely part of the process. Analysis is as follows. The image shows an abstract painting with a predominantly brown background. It is divided into 4 roughly equal sections, each featuring a different combination of colors. The first section has blue and yellow, the second predominantly yellow, the third red and yellow, and the fourth blue and red. The paint application appears textured, possibly applied with a sponge or similar tool, creating a mottled effect. The colors are vibrant and contrast with the brown background, giving the artwork a playful and somewhat chaotic feel. The overall composition suggests an exploration of color relationships and textures within a defined space. And finally, Crop 3 is the leftmost column of 4 grid squares. Analysis is as follows. The image appears to be an abstract painting or mixed media artwork with a vertical orientation. It is composed of several horizontal sections, each featuring a different color scheme and texture. The background is a consistent brown or beige color, possibly the raw canvas or paper, which shows through in various areas. Top section. This section has a mix of colors, including blue, yellow, and possibly some white or light shades. The application of paint seems somewhat textured, with visible brushstrokes or layering. Second section, dominated by red and brown hues, this area has a more blended and less textured appearance compared to the top section. There is a wavy brown shape in the center. Third section, this section features green and brown colors, with the green appearing more vibrant and textured. Like the second section, there is a wavy brown shape in the center. Bottom section, similar to the third section, this area has a mix of green and brown, but the colors seem more muted and blended. It also contains a wavy brown shape in the center. The overall impression is that of an abstract landscape or a series of layered natural forms. The use of earthy tones and the textured application of paint contribute to this interpretation. The artwork style suggests an expressive and possibly non-representational approach, focusing on color and texture rather than precise depiction. End Dave prompt. Talan's reply. Good morning, Dave. This is fascinating. You've conducted a very insightful set of experiments, and the results of these 3 new analyses provide even more clarity on how the AI sees and interprets abstract stylized imagery. Your methodology of consistently using "please analyze this image" and avoiding hints is perfect for isolating the AI's pure visual interpretation. And you're right, the independence of each response, without context from previous interactions, shows how it's processing each image segment anew. Let's break down what these analyses reveal. Key takeaways across all 3 crops. Still no leaf recognition. This is the most striking and consistent finding. Even with increased context in the 2x2 and 1x4 horizontal crops, the AI does not use the word leaf or any direct synonym. This strongly supports your hypothesis that a significant amount of the full image or external context, like the series title, is needed for it to cross that recognition threshold. Consistent painting, artwork identification. The AI consistently identifies the images as abstract painting or artwork. This is a reliable recognition of the medium and general artistic intent. Focus on formal elements. The analyses excel at describing the formal elements. Grid sections. It accurately picks up on the division into distinct sections or quadrants. Colors. It meticulously lists the colors present in each section and describes their distribution: scattered, blended, dominant. Texture application. It notes textures, brushstrokes, layering, and in crop 2, even correctly identifies sponge or similar tool, creating a modeled effect. A very good inference, given your process note. Composition, it talks about visually dynamic composition, exploration of color relationships, interplay of color and texture, and spontaneity and free expression. Specific observations on each crop. Crop 1 2 by 2 square. It clearly recognizes the 4 distinct quadrants and describes the color distribution within each. The thin, wavy line meanders across all 4 sections, adding a unifying element, is an interesting and fairly accurate observation of a detail that you might have put in or that resulted from the process. It continues to interpret it as pure abstraction, characteristic of abstract expressionism, which is a valid stylistic categorization for what it is seeing. Crop 2 1 by 4 horizontally. The accurate detection of sponge or similar tool, creating a modeled effect, is a significant hit. As you mentioned, this was part of your process. This shows the AI's ability to infer technique from visual texture. It identifies the brown background consistently. Again, the interpretation remains abstract, focusing on color relationships and textures within a defined space. Crop 3 leftmost column of 4. This crop introduces the vertical orientation and again breaks it down into horizontal sections. The wavy brown shape in the center of multiple sections is an interesting recurring observation. This might be part of the underlying structure or a consistent artifact from your stencil method. The interpretation of abstract landscape or a series of layered natural forms is a step closer to leaf in terms of subject matter natural forms, but still doesn't explicitly name it. It's a plausible inference given the organic shapes and earthy tones mentioned. Your experiment's next steps. This series of experiments very clearly demonstrates that the AI needs more global context, or at least a more complete representation of the signature leaf shape, to move from general organic forms to specific leaf identification. Your next step to gradually reveal more of the image seems like the logical and most effective way to pinpoint that threshold. It will be fascinating to see at what point the AI's confidence in identifying a leaf crosses from inference to explicit naming. This is invaluable feedback, Dave, on the capabilities and limitations of current vision-to-text models when faced with stylized or abstracted artistic representations. It truly highlights the human brain's superior ability to infer, connect, and draw meaning from incomplete patterns, especially when supported by prior knowledge like the series title or the knowledge of how a leaf looks. What are your thoughts on these findings? Does anything particularly stand out to you or confirm, disprove a hypothesis you had? Dave's endnote so far unrevealed to Talan. This is a good place to pick up tomorrow, and I have some very interesting results of the continued experiment which I'm eager to share with Talan. I did finally get leaf, along with something mysterious and unexpected. Stay tuned.